Hey, it's Regina here from Tarot and Time in Kent, Connecticut, and virtually. Let's talk about the month of July using tarot and astrology for everyday living. So, the month starts off really emotional, and that's because Mercury is in its retrograde period. So, Mercury, the planet of communication, is in its backwards period where we know it's an optical illusion, but we know that it affects us. It affects us in our conversations. Mercury is the planet of communication. It affects roadways and pathways. So traveling, it affects us that we don't want to buy big ticket items or just expect everything to go smoothly because we know that Mercury's shadow is the trickster. So while Mercury is going through the deep, watery, emotional sign of Cancer, we're going to notice a lot of emotions coming up. So kicking off July, jumping right into a lot of emotion, but don't worry, it ends a lot spicier this month. So old memories surface, old feelings surface, and we need to see what still needs to be healed. That's the gift of it. So later in the month, like I said, we're going to see more Leo energy, and that's going to speed things up a bit and it's going to bring in more fun. Although I do think the beginning of the month offers a lot of fun because we still have Venus in the fire sign of Leo. So it's kind of like we have some fun aspects in the beginning of the month, and then we have a lot of emotion. And then towards the end of the month, we get more spicy energy, but by then Venus will move into Virgo, which isn't its best spot. So there's kind of pros and cons to each part of the month. Now we're going to go into a lot of retrogrades. We know Pluto is already retrograde, and we have more retrogrades starting this month. This month is intense all around. There's massive shifts happening. And many of the shifts involve the modern planets, right? The modern planets are the planets that we couldn't see with the eye. We couldn't see until we had technology to help us see farther out. So some of those planets are going through a shift right now, and it's going to take some time to see how it affects us all, right? These are often called the generational planets. And so when we look back at the generation, we may see how those planetary movements affected us. A little bit harder to see in the moment. So let's jump right into the month. We left off last time on June 30th. So we're starting midweek on Wednesday, July 1st. So let's get right into the week by week. Remember, I'm going to repost this all so you don't have to absorb it all at once. And I'm using some great tarot decks also, and I will put links below if you're interested in purchasing any of them. Our online store is up and running with free shipping. So I'm using Moonjube Tarot, which is like one of my new favorites. I love the artwork of this. And I'm going to be working with the Relative Tarot also, which the Relative Tarot, this is the Kickstarter version. It was later released with the Relative Tarot in its own deck, and then the Beloved Dead Oracle separately, which this one I got as one package. So we have both of those in stock. I'm also working with this really fun one called the Travel Tarot, and I started to use it as an oracle, but it actually is a really good tarot deck. And then my oracle today is Alfons Mucha Oracle. He's one of my favorite artists, and if you've ever been to my Kent location, you'll notice a lot of his artwork around. So we've got some of his earlier works here in this deck. So let's jump in. Wednesday, July 1st, the moon is in Capricorn until 3:33 in the afternoon, and then it's going to move into Aquarius. So unpredictable energy with Aquarian energy there, and it's going to be there on the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd all the way until 2:30 a.m. on the 4th. And then the moon will move into Pisces, which is kind of nice because the 4th of July is usually a day people chill out. So Pisces energy can help with that, although we have to be really careful. And, you know, my mom energy comes out and I'm always like, be careful about drinking and driving. And Pisces rules alcohol and drugs and anything, you know, that takes us away from society. So, you know, just be extra careful on 4th of July this year because there's just going to be Pisces energy in the air in general. But it's a great time to relax and to recharge. Now, it might not be that easy to relax because Mars is going to be conjunct Uranus in Gemini. And I got to tell you, I mean, I feel it. Can you already feel the intense nervous energy of this? I feel like things have been so intense lately. I have like needed to stick to my list, trying to get it all done. There's been so much coming at me, and I'm curious if you're feeling that too. Please comment. Please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. So intense energy. Mars, the god of war, right? In Greek mythology, the planet of action and motivation, is together in the sign of Gemini with Uranus, the oh wow planet, the great disruptor, the lightning bolt planet. So we have to be extra careful, right? We don't need any problems. And, you know, a lot of times with this kind of energy, it's like you might be right in an argument. You might be 100% right, but it doesn't mean you're going to be in the right because this is aggressive energy. Okay. So there's going to be multitasking energy, racing energy, accelerated. It's way too easy to be short-tempered, and you really want to go easy on the caffeine. If you're like me, heavily caffeine affected, this is already a burst of energy. So go easy on the caffeine, go easy on the chocolate. I'm always talking about the adaptogen herbs, tulsi and ashwagandha. They can help us adapt to our environment, can help us chill out a little bit. Lemon balm's great. Some people love chamomile. Whatever, just keep it a little bit low key. You don't need any problems. You don't need any arguments. Now, you could get a lot done. Mars is a planet of motivation. It's in Gemini, which can multitask the crap out of anything. And Uranus sudden things can show up. Opportunities can show up. So take the positive, be aware of the negative. Now, change in plans. That's definitely something that is very Aquarian in general. So those first couple days of the month, we know any time, you know, if you have an Aquarius friend and you're dealing with them, you know, things are probably going to change. There's probably going to be some kind of change of plans. So also on the 4th, there's a lot of energy here. Mars is going to be sextile Neptune. Now, sextile is a very positive relationship. Now, Mars is not known for patience, right? It's already conjunct Uranus. And then Neptune's going to be involved, and Neptune rules Pisces. So it's going to be watery. It can be unclear. We may have some bright ideas, but we may not have the time and energy to deal with the ideas. So write them down and return to them later. All right. Now, it's not going to be dull. 7-5. July 5th, Mars trine Pluto. Now, trines are very positive, right? Mars is in the air sign of Gemini. Pluto is in the air sign of Aquarius. And I've often heard Sheila Haidt always refers to Mars as Pluto's little cousin, I think, or little brother. So a relative, okay? So you've got a lot of power players here. And yes, they're in a positive direction, but there's intense energy. So you can commit to your new direction. Pluto loves newness. Be careful in conversation. Am I being too loud? Right? That's a question you should ask yourself. Am I being too loud? Am I being too intense? I can tell you the answer is probably yes, for myself at least. Take note of that. We don't need any problems. This is like being on a runaway horse, okay? So full speed ahead, but maybe a little bit of a bumpy ride. Okay, so now what else is going on? So on the 7th, so we kind of ended there on the 5th. So let's pull a couple cards there for that week. So we know that is a Pisces weekend, and we already talked about the fogginess, but one of the benefits is you can rest, you can dream, but you got to stay clear. And there's too much aggressive energy for you to be in la la land, right? So stay grounded, stay clear, rest. Great time to rest. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. During this first week of July, Mercury retrograde, lots of Mars energy. And even though a lot of these, relationships between the planets are positive ones, it's intense no matter what. Now, I'm going to give you, let's see, I got one from Moonjube. Let me give you one from the Relative Tarot, one from the Travel Tarot. We'll see what interesting places come up for you. And then we're going to use two oracles here. One, the Beloved Dead is what it would be called now. And the Mucha. See what kind of artwork we've got here for you. Mucha's really known for his advertisements. So like when you come into our store, you'll see a lot of his old works when he was hired by like liquor companies and bicycle companies and all sorts of different, he did a lot of work for theaters. Sarah Bernhardt was one of his big breaks into doing posters and stuff. That time period when posters started to become a big thing, late 1800s. So, late 1800s. So interesting art, but this is his original art. That's a little bit more intense. So let's see what we have. From the Moonjube, we have the moon. And we know that this is Cancer energy, right? Sometimes like in tarot, some people will say the moon card is Cancer and other people will say the moon card is Pisces. And because the moon in astrology is Cancer, but either way, we have watery energy and the moon is the pole, okay? So let's see, we are coming down off the full moon, right? We just had the Capricorn full moon on Monday of the week. So really, the beginning of the month, we're still coming down off this full moon. Now, I know I personally got a lot of clarity out of that Capricorn full moon because Capricorn is all about working and committing, but anybody who's born with a moon in Capricorn probably tends to err on the side of being a workaholic. So if that's true, right, those are the kind of things that were coming up during this time period. If that's true for you, you may have noticed that. I noticed it. I noticed that I got a clear message that if I didn't slow down, I was going to burn out. So why don't you pay attention to what was coming up during that Capricorn moon, the beginning of the week? We have the full moon here in this picture. And also she's actually kind of just sitting there and paying attention to the crab there. And so there's kind of intuitive, but like lovely, calming, relaxing energy. Lots of emotion with the moon. We know it's a Mercury retrograde in Cancer, but the moon does represent our subconscious mind. It does rule kind of like secrets and information in the fog. So wanting to pay attention to those kind of things. Your second card is Temperance, which is ruled by Jupiter. There's a lot of Jupiter energy this month. Jupiter left the sign of Cancer on, I think, the 30th, also with the full moon, and then moved into Leo. So what a difference. Jupiter's going to make everything bigger. And so it was making emotions big. Now we're going into Leo, can make the ego big, right? We can start to look at those kind of things. It can also make joy big. So two major arcanas here, two major secret of life cards here. Now your third card is the Eight of Cups, Vancouver Island, Canada. Lovely. And he looks like he's hiking with a headlamp by the ocean. Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups usually symbolizing like walking away from something, right? But he's just walking in general. And that full moon, which actually looks like an eclipse moon, is guiding him forward. So interesting. Eight of Cups. He's very determined with that headlamp. All right, let's see what your oracle cards are. We have leisure. Oh, it's so pretty. So an angel guide there helping to move her in the direction of leisure. And we talked a lot about that over 4th of July. Let's see what your Mucha card is. And it's card number 2. And we see 2 people talking there. It looks like one is like lifting the other person's chin up, almost like they're going to paint them or something. The book says, be proud. Affirmation, I am proud of who I am. A young woman sits against a rocky outcropping. She holds a pussy willow reed in her hands. A man stands next to her and caresses her chin. So receiving blessings of wealth and growth, gentle touch, care, and concern, white dressing gown, innocence, and purity. I am proud of who I am. Sounds very Leo-like to me, and we know we have a lot of Leo activity this month. So enjoy, take some time, be proud of your accomplishments, and allow yourself some leisure time. Now, we're going to move into the next week, July 6th through July 12th. And we start off, again, the moon's in Pisces till right before lunch, and it moves into Aries, cardinal fire sign of Aries. The moon will be there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday until 4:31 p.m. So a lot of full speed ahead energy with the moon in Aries. We know we already have Saturn, the planet of responsibility, hanging out in Aries. We have Neptune, the planet of illusion and delusion, the planet of healing and creativity, in Aries. So the moon's going to come along and kind of visit and mingle with them. So there'll be some of that energy in the air. So we'll be able to get things done. We may have a lot of creative projects we're working on. And speaking of Neptune, Neptune begins its retrograde on the 7th, on Tuesday the 7th. And it's going to be retrograde until December 12th. So the cosmic fog clears and we can see the reality of situations. Dreams and intuition will be activated during this period. Interesting stuff. Now, the 7th is also the last quarter moon in Aries, and this is waning energy. And remember, this is conjunct Saturn. So Saturn is a planet of hardship, of responsibility, and we know it brings us great success over time, but we already have the moon waning, reducing, right, coming down off this full moon, and it's conjunct Saturn, the rule keeper. So if you need to move ahead with something, we were saying, yeah, there's a lot of forward movement because the moon is in Aries. But if you're going to launch something new or you really want to get something big done, wait until the Leo new moon on July 14th. That will have more easy energy to put things out there. Talk yourself down from moving forward. If there's something, if you're like, no, I just want to do this, or I'm just feeling impulsive, I want to do this, please wait. It'll be in your best interest and in the best interest of your project. Now, the moon moves into Taurus Wednesday at 4:30, and so we'll have some grounded earth energy coming into the picture, which honestly, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of grounded energy right now. There's a lot in Gemini. There's a lot of planets in Aries. And now Leo's got a lot of activity. But Venus is going to move into Virgo, earth sign. And then the moon will be in Taurus. So Venus makes its move on the 9th, on Thursday the 9th. And it will stay there until August 6th when it moves into Libra. So this is a good time for accepting invites, but we know that opportunities come with strings attached. They just do. So be shrewd. Venus, people who are born with Venus in Virgo know better than to take the apple from the witch, right? They know better than to spin the spinning wheel that has magically appeared in their house, okay? So examine things, be specific, pay attention to detail, and also show love through acts of service. And, when I was researching this, I was really taken with that because I have Venus, even though I have Venus in Sag, it's in Virgo's house. And I always feel like I show people love through doing stuff for them, right? Or cooking a meal for somebody. So I think it's interesting that Venus in Virgo is related to love through acts of service. So remember, Venus is not in its like favorite position when it's in Virgo. And Virgo can be really nitpicky. Virgo is the analyzer and it wants to assess everything. And so we have to go easy. You know, I always feel like I have to go easy on myself, especially like when I look in the mirror or put a bathing suit on, right? Very Venus and Virgo, and we can drive ourselves insane. So go nice and easy there. Now, let's see, the moon stays in Taurus the 8th, the 9th, the 10th until 6:42 p.m. on Friday the 10th. Then it will move into Gemini. So we'll have a big Gemini weekend. Gemini's social, right? Gemini's like a little bit of everything. Gemini wants to talk and hang out with friends. But remember, Gemini's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury's in retrograde. So it's just interesting. Now, Mercury is considered Cazimi on July 12th, Sunday the 12th. And Cazimi means in the heart of the sun. So Mercury retrograde is going to cross the sun. Now, information may be correct, but the timing is going to be off. So here we are again with the timing thing. Wait and see after 8:23. Okay, be ready for a last minute confession or a plot twist. I always say you never know what you're going to find out during a Mercury retrograde. It's very interesting. Information can just fall in your lap, especially on a Gemini weekend. So the moon will stay in Gemini until 6:46 p.m. on Sunday the 12th, when it will move into Cancer, and we'll be heading to a Cancer new moon. All right, I'm getting some cards for you here for this week ahead. See what you need to know. Some themes here. Bunch of decks, some really great decks. I'm really enjoying this travel tarot. It's been a lot of fun. And Moonjube is like so my speed. I really like it. I like the art. Sometimes some of those decks that, I don't know, sometimes they're hard to read. This one so far, I've been able to read it pretty well. All right, let's see what we've got. Your first card is the Ace of Swords. And we've kind of got like this fairy floating on the handle of the sword. And we've got this beautiful crown at the top of the sword, almost like this flowered eye, the evil eye, the eye of protection. And we see people kind of just mingling down at the bottom. So very Gemini-like. We're talking about a Gemini weekend. Ace of Swords. Going to be lots of ideas, right? Gemini, Mercury retrograde, we're revisiting old ideas. But remember, timing is everything. Second card is the Judgment card. I love that they made Judgment New York City. So there's like a little cruise boat there looking at the city, Judgment, Scorpio energy. And so this is about letting go of the past, letting go. And this month, we're going to have some Pluto energy to help us out towards the end of the month to really help us with letting go. And we've got the amazing Judgment card here. We've also got the Nine of Swords and more air energy. All those swords are thoughts. And she's waking up. You know, this is often called the insomnia card, so I hope she got a good night's sleep. She's grabbed one of those swords, and maybe she's going to run with an idea. You know, there's basically referencing the first card, the Ace of Swords. Oracle card is the camouflage card. It's kind of a weird one. It almost feels like COVID wearing a mask. Camouflage. And then let's see what card number 25 is, what the book has to say here. Number 25 says, remain vulnerable. Affirmation, I let go with grace and ease. A man kneels his lover's feet, He grabs the ribbon holding her dress together. He clasps her face and looks up and waits for him to let go so she can move on. Symbols, roots, indications of a well-established foundation and a fresh start. Belt, containment, and a pact between the wearer and their divine source. Upward, gaze-seeking, answers from above, or a request for help. I go with grace and ease is the affirmation. Interesting. I don't know. That didn't line up for me. I felt like he was kind of holding her down, and I felt like this judgment card was there for her to release those things that are holding her down, but maybe doing so with grace. Okay. And the camouflage card is kind of an interesting one. I'm just going to put one more with it because I don't really understand what it's trying to tell me. And it's the imitation card. And he looks like he's like in a play. So he's trying to be someone, right? And camouflage, she's trying to cover who she is. And this other one, someone's trying to pull her down. So I get a lot of like almost somebody with this other woman yawning here. It almost feels like enough of that and releasing and having this evil eye protection here and kind of like making the cuts of the things of the people who are holding you back, the situations that are holding you back, like you've been like this has been long awaited, like you're tired of it. Okay, so we're going to move into the next week, which is July 13th through July 19th. Now, we're heading to a Cancer new moon on the 14th. And on the 13th, we have the moon in Cancer. So watery, intuitive. Remember, Mercury's hanging out in Cancer also. And on Tuesday at 5:44 a.m., we'll have the peak of the Cancer new moon. Now, this Cancer new moon is going to be square Saturn, and it's also going to be conjunct together with Mercury in retrograde. So this is a good time for honoring your roots. It's a good time like to do like something like ancestor.com, research family history, spend time with older family. Great time to go through old pictures. That's very Mercury retrograde, especially in the sign of Cancer, emotional sign of the home, the mother, that kind of stuff. So enjoy this new moon, but remembering that it's with Saturn, and Saturn is like the grounding force of your life. So it really does lean itself to respecting your ancestors. But remember, Saturn isn't going to let you shortcut any rules or anything like that. Now, remember to make moon water. Put water in a jar. Mason jar's fine. Put it in the window. Try to do that a day or two before the new moon, day or two after, and then drink that water. It's really aligning to the moon energy. Now, on July 15th, Wednesday, the moon will have moved into Leo the night before, and then Venus is going to be square Uranus. Now, this is said to be a once in a lifetime opportunity. Sudden plot twist, an unexpected attraction to someone completely outside your usual type could rock your world, or an abrupt revelation could alter your view on your current partner. There's a need for space. If a relationship has felt rigid or it's felt suffocating or overly micromanaged, this transit will spark an intense urge to break free, demand boundaries, or seek more breathing room. It's okay to need alone time. This Mercury retrograde in Cancer is going to bring up a lot of emotion. And so when situations come in where the energy is not as smooth, when Venus squares Uranus, maybe it's a good time to step away. Maybe it's a time to just take it out for yourself. Okay. All right. Now, I also had down boredom interruptions. Couples stuck in a predictable routine may experience sudden bickering or erratic behavior, which is simply a mass craving for new excitement. So maybe it's time to bring some new excitement into your relationship, but maybe go think about it for a little while and regroup later. Now, on July 15th, more stuff is happening. Uranus sextile Neptune. Now remember, your sextile is a positive relationship between two planets, and Uranus is the oh wow planet, rules the internet, and Neptune is a creative planet. So this is when things like a video could go viral, or like your business and orders are pouring in. And maybe you're like, oh, I want to expand my business now. And you feel like all this fire energy, but you have to learn how to manage it. You can have creative breakthroughs, but you have to make sure that you're not overcommitting. And also, we're in the middle of a Mercury retrograde, so we shouldn't be making major decisions. We should be considering things, looking at things, pondering things, but not really moving forward with it yet. Now, a lot of astrologers are calling the July 16th through July 21st extraordinary flowing energy, okay? And on the 18th, 4 planets are going to be at 4 degrees. So we've got Jupiter at 4 degrees Leo, Neptune at 4 degrees Aries, Uranus at 4 degrees Gemini, and Pluto at 4 degrees Aquarius. So they're forming sextiles and trines and oppositions. So it's pretty wild energy there. So really just pay attention to what's going on. It's marketed as very positive, but it's going to be pretty intense too. So pay attention to what's going on. I was researching on the internet. They were calling it a barbaral basket, which I had never heard of, or a partial grand sextile. So this is an ultra rare cosmic event, and it's supposed to bring us balance of supporting energy. And a lot of astrologers call this a blueprint for a modern day renaissance, collective breakthroughs, and structural innovation. So again, this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the outer planets. They're generational planets. So this isn't like all of a sudden mid-July, we're like, there's going to be world peace. We can be hitting points where those are the shifts when we look back. So on July, 16th, the moon moves into Virgo in the evening. We'll have the moon in Virgo the 16th, the 17th, the 18th. Now remember, Virgo's ruled by Mercury too. Mercury's still retrograde. Great time to sort through things and clean things up and get things in order and get paperwork in order and go through your desk. You never know what you'll find. Then on Sunday the 19th, the moon moves into Libra. And so once the moon moves into Libra, all those 4 degrees planets, it makes a pattern of a grand sextile, often called the Star of David formation. So really wild things happening in the skies. Fast track evolution, collective desire for peace. I feel it. I hope you do too. So peace is what we could all use. All right. Now, on the 18th, Uranus is trine Pluto. So trine's positive, right? Uranus is in the air sign of Gemini. Pluto's in the air sign of Aquarius. And Neptune is at the midpoint between them. This is long-lasting change. This can bring about long-lasting change. Again, making the world a better place. But we have to stay grounded. This aspect is really rare. It hasn't happened since the 1920s. Okay, so we are in wild times, in a wild month. Now we're going to pull some cards, but we have one more thing. We have Mars trine Saturn on the 19th, Sunday the 19th. Moon moves into Libra right after lunch. Mars, the planet of action, making a positive aspect with Saturn, the planet of responsibility. There can be agreements. Saturn is kind of like, I'm sorry, not that there can be agreements, but a trine is like an agreement. And Saturn is kind of coaching Mars, okay? So Saturn, Mars wants to do everything, and Saturn's like one project at a time, learn a skill, take a class, improve your life, and don't try to get it all done. Okay, so let's give you a few cards for this wildly intense week, July 13th through the 19th. Let's see what the cards have to say, if they're going to be as wild as all that astrology information was. All right, let me get you one here. Remember, I haven't looked at any of these cards. I never look at them ahead of time. I like to read them right as you're hearing it, and I think it works better that way. All right, so your first card is Ace of Wands. We had an Ace of Swords in this position last week. Now we've got the Ace of Wands, Ace of Fire. There's a lot of people kind of in the branches of that wand. We have somebody meditating at the bottom. New ideas, a lot of energy up in the air, right? A lot of fire energy up in the air, but he's down there grounded at the bottom. He's actually sitting in the hand. So he's not technically grounded, but he has assistance. It kind of reminds me of saying that Saturn is kind of coaching Mars. Okay, we have assistance, someone with wisdom that won't let things get out of control. We have the Empress card here. Kyoto, Japan. How beautiful to have Japan with the cherry blossoms as the Empress card. So more grounded energy, earth energy. I was saying there's not a lot of planets in earth signs, and the moon will be in Virgo all weekend, so that can help us feel a little bit more grounded, and Saturn will help with that too. We have the Five of Pentacles here. Speaking of more grounded energy, Five of Pentacles, although 5 is a number of change, Pentacles anything of value, and this is often the poor me or the poverty mentality card. So interesting coming in next to the Empress, which couldn't be more the opposite of that if it tried. Now you have the Innocence card. Oh, it reminds me of my older daughter. Innocence, how cute. And card number 34 here. She almost looks like the Empress from the Mucha deck. It says, follow whimsy. My creativity is vast and limitless. A queen's muse whispers words of fancy into her ear. The message makes her eyes widen. She almost falls off her throne. Symbols, a carved lion head, take pride in what you have, or a person well guarded from aggression. Green cross, break free from what holds you back and grab hold of the bounty of nature's gifts. And white bird, time to celebrate or aim high in the situation. Okay, so it's like aim high, don't fall into the poor me, because we know it's too easy. We always can. And this innocence card, this purity, we've actually got 2 babies in these cards. And so, and then follow whimsy. So it's kind of got like a childlike feel, has a fun vibe to it. Enjoy the beauty, those cherry blossoms, right? It's a fleeting moment. They're only going to be in season for so long. All right, so let's move into the week of July 20th through July 26th. And we are starting off with the moon in the Venus-ruled sign of Libra. It'll be there until Tuesday, the 21st at 9:35 a.m. when it moves into Scorpio. So on Monday, the 20th, Jupiter is going to be trining Neptune. This is called a departing trine. Jupiter is ahead of Neptune in the sign of Leo. So Neptune is supporting Jupiter. There's a lot of spirited, fiery energy, individuality. Am I becoming the best version of me? Inspiration, but don't, it's like inspire, but don't burn. Uplift, but don't overwhelm. Faith in yourself, faith in others. So July 20th. We also have Jupiter opposing Pluto. So there's a lot of Jupiter aspects here. Okay. So the first one kind of teaching us to, be our best, to have faith in ourselves, to have faith in others. Then Jupiter opposing Pluto is like me versus them against the world. And actually, this aspect only happens every 13 years. So this is a good opportunity to look at your ego and see what needs to be changed, what needs to be altered there. Now, on the 21st, Tuesday, Jupiter will be sextile Uranus. Sextile is a helpful relationship. So being curious about others makes the world a better place, learning and understanding of others. Look for commonality. Okay. Stop making everything seem so different, right? We're different colors, we're different shapes, but we have things in common, and love always wins. Now, the first quarter moon happens on the 21st, on Tuesday, the 21st, in the sign of Libra. And so helpful relationships are forming, bridging the divide, making agreements that suit both parties. But remember, Mercury is still in retrograde. It's almost over, but it's still there. July 22nd, Wednesday. Goodbye to the sun being in Cancer, and welcome the sun into the fixed fire sign of Leo. This is called the good father. Okay. And what's really a good father? But somebody who shows up. People need your support. You are better prepared than you think you are. So show up and speak from the heart. The sun will be conjunct Jupiter, 722 through 726, bringing a surge of optimism and good luck. But remember, Jupiter, everybody likes to think about the positive side of Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter makes everything bigger, positive or negative. So watch your ego. 723, everybody's been waiting for this, and it's finally here. Mercury, the planet of communication, goes direct in the sign of Cancer. It is back to where it was on June 12th. We have revisited everything that's been going on since June 12th. The first time it happened, the second time through retrograde, and now as it goes direct, the third swoop over the same ground. Answers finally come in, but the terms may have changed. Move carefully. Triple check all the details. Terms and agreements, only yourself to blame if there's an error. Now, July 24th, Friday. So basically, the moon moves into Sagittarius at 9:07 p.m. on the 23rd. So we had a couple days there, all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and all day Thursday. Moon in Scorpio, deep psychic water sign. Now it moves into lighthearted Sagittarius in the evening of the 23rd. And on the 24th, Mercury is sextile Venus. Now, this is a positive aspect, right? Sextiles are a positive relationship. Mercury, the planet of communication, newly gone direct in a positive relationship with Venus, the planet of relationships and value. So mingle. If you get invited to parties, go. It's a breath of fresh air socially. Broaden your horizon. Brush up on your conversational skills, because you never know, a major player in your life might show up. So feel good about yourself. Now, we also have on the 24th, Neptune, which is retrograde, sextile, positive relationship, Pluto, which is also retrograde. This is a retrograde sextile. Both planets revisiting previous positions, revisiting old decisions and previous discussions. What kind of world do we want to be living in? The modern day planets are moving slowly, but they have lasting influence. Now, on July, let's see, so the moon's in Sag 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th until 9:44 a.m. when it moves into Capricorn. Okay, kind of like where we started the month. So July 26th, Saturn retrograde starts. Just what we wanted, another retrograde, right? So we've got, well, Mercury went direct, so that's good. So we still have Pluto retrograding, Neptune, and Saturn. 3 outer planets retrograde. So let's see what you need to know this week ahead. Let's pull a couple cards, see what the cards have to say. And Saturn retrograde. So it's in Aries, so it'll be interesting to see how that affects us. And especially as the moon is in Capricorn that day, and Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. All right, let's see what the cards are for the week ahead. You've got the Star. Oh, this is a fun star version. very beachy. Okay, so this is Aquarius energy. The star comes in to give us hope, to tell us some things have been cleared out of our way, to make room for our hopes and our dreams. We've also got the Two of Pentacles, Paris, France. Ooh, that might be one of your hopes and your dreams. Okay, Two of Pentacles, relationship number, value number, and it's Paris. We've got the Seven of Wands here. Looks like you got a baseball player, and he looks like he took a wand. He's ready to hit that ball. And Seven of Wands really about overcoming obstacles, a lot of things going on, a lot of irons in the fire. You also have the Ancestry card. We were just talking about your ancestry. I think that was last week. Okay, so we've got your ancestors behind you. And it's interesting because the star, often people will say the stars in the sky are your ancestors. You got a lot of protection here. You got a relationship number 2 in a beautiful city of Paris. And you've got the Seven of Wands there helping you to move forward. And your other oracle card is painting here number 1 from Mucha. Let's see what number 1 has to say. And it says, take comfort. Affirmation, I am at peace with myself. 2 women curl around each other. One holds a child in her arms. A herd of sheep lay at their feet. Everyone is resting, comforting one another. Symbol, lamb, purity of spirit and youthful outlook. Child, future potential and curiosity. Orange, poppy flower, delivering messages in dreams or getting good rest. All right, well, it looks like there's a lot of activity, but then it's asking you to get some rest next to the ancestor card, which I'd be paying attention to your dreams pretty closely, see who's coming through. Okay, now we're going to go into the last week of the month, which is July 27th through August 2nd. And on Monday, July 27th, as the moon is in Capricorn, the nodes are going to change signs. So the nodes, the north and south nodes, they're considered like angles of the moon. And I know they've been used for hundreds of years to talk about like what you came here to learn, what energies in the air at that time. So we're going to have the nodes switch signs. They're going to leave Virgo and Pisces and enter Aquarius. And the north node will enter Aquarius and the south node will enter Leo, and they'll stay there till March of 2028. So the lunar nodes represent our collective access of destiny and evolutionary growth. And when they completed their transit through Pisces and Virgo for the past 18 months, we learned to balance surrendering to intuition, very Neptune, Pisces, with practical refinement, Virgo, Mercury. So now when the lunar nodes shift into Aquarius, Leo axis, we'll be bringing a collective recalibration away from ego-driven leadership, Leo, and towards community-focused collaboration, Aquarius. So this has like Age of Aquarius vibes to it, right? Bigger picture, us coming together as one peaceful world. And so this 18 months for you personally might test you on how you balance personal creativity with other people's needs or the needs of the collective, okay? Now, the moon continues in Capricorn on the 28th. It moves into Aquarius on the evening of the 28th, 9:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we're moving towards the full moon. So this is a full moon week, a full Aquarius moon week. And Saturn is one of the original rulers of Aquarius before the modern day ruler Uranus was discovered. So Saturn's retrograding, right? Uranus recently switched signs into Gemini. So on 7/29, we have Venus square Mars. So things are already heightened with a full moon. And Aquarius is often called the friendship full moon because it rules friends and large groups of people. And so Venus square Mars, playful or exasperating, cat and mouse. It's like a yo-yo effect. I said no, but she still came back, okay? And sometimes that can be fun in a way. If somebody's like pursuing someone else, it's like you say no a couple times, but there's still playful energy. Or it can just get frustrating and can cause breakups. Okay. So intense energy as we approach the 6-degree Aquarius full moon. And if that's not enough intensity, it's conjunct Pluto. Okay. And it's trine Uranus and it's opposite Jupiter. Jupiter makes everything bigger. So at least it's trining its own ruler, Uranus. That's a good thing. So the things that hold you back, this is a good time to talk to a therapist or talk to a friend or a mentor because you can get a lot of cool clarity. Remember, Aquarius is, even though this is a full Aquarius moon and the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. That's how there can be an Aquarius full moon in the summer, okay? Because it's opposite Leo. So when the sun's in Leo, the full moon will be in Aquarius. Now, Aquarius rules the coldest part of the year here in the United States of America, right? February. And so when you think of like Capricorn pushes in, cardinal sign pushes in winter, and then the fixed sign of Aquarius holds winter. So it's the coldest time of the year. So there's going to be cool clarity when Aquarius full moon happens. You can have personal breakthroughs. You might get a bird's eye view of your fears and insecurities because Pluto's involved. Talk through negative thinking. Now, the other thing that can happen is you may find conclusions in some friendships because that's what can happen anytime Pluto is involved, okay? But Pluto wants to bring out the highest and best, so maybe that relationship wasn't the best thing for you, okay? Now, on the 30th, so remember, we're going to be coming down off this full moon basically the whole week, so it's going to be intense, but at least the Mercury retrograde ended. At least the watery emotion is a little bit more contained. And then on the 31st, the moon is going to move into Pisces in the morning. So here we are with a Pisces moon again. So remember, Pisces, water signs need more rest than other signs. It's a good time to kind of slow down and enjoy the watery energy of the weekend after an intense month, after an intense full moon. Now, Saturday the 1st is the pagan holiday Lammas, and that was celebrated as like the midpoint between summer and autumn. And it's also considered the celebration of the first harvest of wheat and grain. So a lot of times, like, they would bring bread to church to be blessed. So we definitely want to feel the gratitude of being fed these grains, right? And marking the cycles of this midpoint. And so, yeah, maybe stay home and make a beautiful meal this weekend. Pisces energy kind of has slower, artistic, resting kind of energy. Like if you could go swimming and just relax all weekend, that'd be a great way to spend a Pisces weekend. The moon will move into Aries on Sunday the 2nd at 4:37 p.m. So you may get like a sudden burst of energy later in the day on Sunday. So let's see what cards we have for you for this full moon week, this last week of July. Oh, the summer's flying by. Okay. And what else do we've got here? A couple more oracle and one of these art cards. Okay, let's see what your first card is for Moonjube Tarot. It's the 5 of Pentacles. Interesting version. He's got like a backpack on. I'm not sure what she's carrying. Almost looks like a jar, maybe a water jar. 5 of Pentacles, change of value, often called the poor me card, okay? And there may be some changes. There may be some, we know with a full Aquarius moon with Pluto involved, there's going to be changes. We have the Emperor here, Park National Bamara, Madagascar. So we've got a national park in Madagascar. Okay, the Emperor walking on this bridge. Ooh, I don't know if you could pay me to walk on that bridge. I think it's pretty high up. But the Emperor's Aries energy, he's the boss, taking charge, moving forward. And we've got the Ten of Wands, and it looks like she's playing like a musical instrument here. Ten of Wands, really heightened fire energy. We know the energy of this month has been very heightened, but we know when the Ten of Wands is there that it's got, we call it 10 of 1 in numerology. We're shifting, something shifting here. Now, your oracle card is the balancing act. She's holding a champagne bottle. No, she's balancing on a champagne bottle. Okay, we're saying how Pisces rules alcohol. Okay, so there's a balancing act going on, and your Mucha card is card number 22. And what did I do with the book for card number 22? Let's see what it says here. 22, discover peace. Affirmation, I am at peace with myself and my surroundings. A young woman stands near the edge of a pond. She clothes herself with a white sheet. It's the only protection from her surroundings. She stares into the water seeking something. Symbols, open water, purity and relaxation. Blue, colors, dreams, and intuitive messages. Onlookers, getting consensus on an activity or connection to others in your life. Okay, well, I was talking about water, and if I could spend the weekend in swimming, that would be a great way to spend the weekend. And this is showing water and intuition, and she's at peace with her surroundings. So really enjoying where it is that you are and being aware of the Five of Pentacles there. There's a shift of something. Maybe you start to realize it's like, I don't know, I feel like this past month I realized during the Capricorn full moon that, maybe I don't have to work so hard all the time. Maybe my needs don't even require me to work that hard. Maybe I just need to go swimming for the weekend, right? That's free. Maybe not overdoing it so much. It's almost like, what are you trying to prove? And so that was kind of the vibe I got here, was like really shifting. What are your values here? What's important? And the Emperor's definitely on an adventure, and this balancing act of trying to balance your life out here, and this beautiful Mucha card showing us just enjoying the moment. So thank you for joining me for this wildly intense month, and please make the best out of it. Stay calm, feel your emotions as they come up through the Mercury retrograde, and savor the summer while it's here. And I'll be back to talk to you about the month of August very soon.